This is not the city of Pawtucket. I'm gonna do a moment of silence. I'd like to call the Smithfield Town Council meeting to order Tuesday, February 17th, 2026. The regular meeting is convened at 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. There was no votes taken in executive session. Before we get into the prayer, I'd like everyone to rise for a moment of silence. For our brothers and sisters in Pawtucket and the people that lost their lives yesterday on this horrific accident. Thank you. Councilwoman Bobus.
Thank you. Unfortunately, there's been a few tragedies recently. A classmate of mine, Nathaniel Gillette, also took his own life last week. I want to say a few words. He, after high school, he moved to Chicago. A week ago, he was reported missing, and a couple days ago, he was reported to have been found to have taken his own life in Chicago Park. Nathaniel leaves behind his wife, Olive, his parents, brothers, sisters, and friends. His wife tells me that even though he moved away, he always referred to Smithfield as his home. It is important that we stand as a community to support those who struggle with mental health issues. Rest in peace to Nathaniel Gillette.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Lord, as we start our meeting this evening, we ask for your guidance, wisdom, and unity in a spirit of collaboration to ensure and protect the meeting and above. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge of allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
emergency evacuation and health notification.
In the event that the council chambers has to be evacuated, there are two exits. One to the very rear of the council chambers. Out that door and to your right, there's a stairway that goes out to the front of the building. To my right or your left over here in the front of the council chambers is the second exit, brings you out a set of stairs to the side of the building. If there should be an evacuation, please do not try to use the elevator. Ladies' room and men's room are directly out the rear exit of the council chambers. On the right is the men's room, and 3 steps up on the left is the ladies' room.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Presentations, we have a few tonight. Special recognition to Detective Lieutenant Douglas Harris. Would you step forward, please? And the town manager will. It was bio.
Right here. Got it.
Detective Lieutenant Douglas, recently awarded Rhode Island Police Chiefs Association 2025 Detective of the Year Known for his creative investigation approach with his expertise in particular in technology-related investigations, has made him a trusted resource both locally and beyond our state. Throughout his career, he's worked at agencies including the FBI, U.S. Secret Service, ATF, DEA, IRS, and the U.S. Postal Inspectors partnerships, and reflect his professionalism and credibility. As president of Rhode Island Detectives Association for the past 14 years, he modernized the communication and strengthened the collaboration among investigators across New England. Lieutenant amplifies integrity in service. Smithfield is fortunate to have him, and we thank Rhode Island Police Chiefs Association for the recognition of Detective Lieutenant Douglas Cerise with this award. Chief?
Wish to extend heartfelt recognition to Detective Lieutenant Douglas Cerise for being awarded the 2025 Detective of the Year by the Rhode Island Police Chiefs Association for providing exceptional investigative leadership in service to the community. Signed by the town manager and town council president.
Special recognition to Commercial Enforcement Officer Neil Macaccio. Commercial Enforcement Officer Neil Macaccio, a 20-year veteran of the Smithfield Police Department, has received the 2025 Police Department Golden Traffic Award for his outstanding efforts in enforcing traffic-related issues, particularly in commercial enforcement. Commercial enforcement involves enforcing regulations governing some of the most dangerous vehicles on our roadways, such as tractor trailers, construction equipment, and hazmat materials. Officer Caccio is also trained and assigned to the Traffic Commercial Enforcement in 2015. Has earned numerous accolades for his expertise and dedication and expertise. His enforcement efforts signify enhanced roadway safety throughout the region and has provided invaluable assistance to the state police and other municipal agencies in the commercial enforcement operation. Officer Macaccio's collaboration approach to specializing knowledge have made him a vital resource for multiple agencies' enforcement initiatives. Throughout his diligent work, Officer Caccio continues to make our roadways safer and all motorists and the community residents. Chief?
And heartfelt recognition to Officer Neil Macaccio for being awarded the 2025 Police Department Golden Traffic Award for his outstanding efforts in enforcing traffic-related issues, particularly in commercial enforcement and enhancing roadway safety. Congratulations.
Yes, it is parking.
So now, so receive an award, right? So he already had one sometime that I have. Here, the 2025 Traffic Enforcement Gold Award. Enforcement Officer Neil Macaccio. So you have something like.
Thank you. Another special recognition to Police Officer Daniel Wise. Daniel Wise, a 4-year veteran of the Smithfield Police Department, has received the 2025 Police Department Silver Traffic Award for his outstanding efforts in enforcing traffic-related issues and was recently recognized by the Rhode Island Police Chiefs Association as a holiday hero. For his excellent traffic enforcement efforts, particularly his outstanding work in DUI enforcement. During his career, Officer Wise has received multiple letters of recognition and commendations for his professionalism and quick response during stressful and dangerous incidents. Officer Wise consistently demonstrates excellence in traffic enforcement and especially trained in one of the department's 2 commercial vehicle enforcement officers. Smithfield Police Department is fortunate to have an officer of his caliber with his dedication, keeping our roads safe and making our community stronger. Thank you.
You know, I'm training for it, do not drink and drive, because they're gonna be. People are over. Another special recognition for a special person. Smithfield Town Council and the Town of Smithfield, Rhode Island, wish to extend heartfelt recognition to Officer Daniel Wise for being awarded the 2025 Police Department Silver Traffic Award for his outstanding efforts in enforcing traffic-related issues, being recognized as a holiday hero by the Rhode Island Police Chiefs Association. He also gets the Traffic Enforcement Silver Award from the Smithfield Police Department again, Commercial Enforcement Officer.
We have one more. Officer Jeffrey Cooper, a 2-year veteran of the Smithfield Police Department, has received the 2025 Police Department Bronze Traffic Award for his outstanding efforts in enforcing traffic-related issues. Also recognized in the 2025 Rhode Island Police Chiefs Association as a Summer Safety Shout-Out Officer for his expertise in traffic enforcement efforts, and particularly his outstanding work in distracting driving. During his brief career, Officer Cooper has received multiple letters of recognition and professionalism in his quick response during stressful, dangerous incidents, as well as his actions during medical emergencies. We commend Officer Cooper for his consistent excellence in traffic enforcement and his unwavering dedication to keep our roadways safe. His enforcement efforts are vital to protecting our residents of the town of Smithfield.
I will assure you, there are a lot more special police officers on the Smithfield Fire Department. Right, Sonny? Smithfield recognition to Officer Jeffrey Cooper for being awarded the 2025 Police Department Bronze Traffic Award for his outstanding efforts in enforcing traffic-related issues, being recognized as a Summer Safety Shout-Out Officer of the Rhode Island Police Chiefs. Again, from the Smithfield Police Department, he also gets a little trophy recognized traffic enforcement Bronze Award. We're gonna bring all the other stuff in 1 second. I just want to say one thing. There's 4 officers being recognized there, and that's, you know, that puts Smithfield kind of up here. The fact that we get these officers recognized, and I'm sure it's not every department that gets several officers a year recognized. So they're out there on the street doing a good job. We know it's a dangerous job now, but we have a very good police department, and being recognized like this, we should all be proud of what they do. So congratulations.
Hang on, Mr. Manager. I'd like to call Representative Constantino and Representative Santucci to the podium.
Mr. President. Mr. President,
The floor is yours.
we just wanted to congratulate all of our fine officers. Everyone knows how much Representative Costantino and I and Senator Takoyan, who could not be here tonight, but extends his best wishes. Everyone knows how much we care about our officers in town. And I also have the understanding that these fine gentlemen will also be taking over the Emergency Management Agency office effective 0800 tomorrow. So I'm sure that will come as a surprise to Director Manning, but what he doesn't know won't hurt him.
And we will be presenting citations when Senator Takoyan returns. So we will come to the police station and give you guys the citations. Thank you so much for your service.
Thank you both.
We have to squeeze in a little bit. Is it? Put a-
Tell you one thing, this is the safest place to be tonight.
Yeah.
All right. All dressed up. Rachel, they're all dressed up. The kids are all and dressed up.
It's Tom's daughter.
What's your standards?
He's in training. I was in.
That's only $10,000 for that dog.
10,000?
Bax's Jewelers gave us the new dog.
It's too much.
Yeah, I mean, that's 10,000 for the training. You could buy one for.
10,000 for the dog. 10,000 for the training. $20,000.
The dogs. You breed them around here, right?
No, that dog's not from here. No. Connecticut. Yeah. Guys all set? Item number 6. Move the minutes of the January 20th, 2026 executive session meeting held pursuant to Rhode Island General Laws, section 4246581. Personnel to interview Chris Conti and Joe Tadino for possible appointments to the town board and commission to be approved and recorded as sealed. I'll entertain a motion. I have a second. You abstaining?
Abstain, yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Nays, ayes have it. Item B, move the minutes of the January 2026 open session meeting to be approved as recorded. Entertain a motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Nays, ayes have it. Item C, move the minutes of February 3rd, 2026 work session to be approved as recorded. I'll entertain a motion. Have a second.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Nays, ayes have it.
Abstain.
Item D, move the minutes of February 3rd, 2026 open session meeting to be approved as recorded. I'll entertain a motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Nays, ayes have it.
Abstain.
One abstention. Item number 7, consider, discuss, act upon the possible appointments and reappointments. Item A, Board of Canvassers reappointment, the term expired March 2031.
Move that the town council reappoint Pasquale Matteo to the Board of Canvassers for a term expiring in March of 2031.
Have a second.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Nays? Ayes have it. Item B, Board of Assessment and Review, reappointment of term expiring in December 2028.
Motion to reappoint Dennis Fliss to the Board of Assessment Review with the term expiring December 2028.
Have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Nays? Ayes have it. Item number 8, public hearings. Conduct a public hearing to consider act upon adopting of the capital improvements program plan of the years 2027 to 2046. At this time, I'll open up the public hearing. Anyone would like to speak on that issue?
Hi. Caitlin Shania, Finance Director. We're just putting forth the approved from the Capital Committee capital improvement plan for 2027 to 2046. And if anybody has any questions, we're here to answer them.
I noticed that the first 5 years had no funding for any fire trucks or rescue vehicles in there. So does that mean we don't anticipate purchasing any of those? I know we recently purchased quite a few of them, so I just wanted to
So if it,
be sure that,
just double check, but if it wasn't submitted, then let's see. Nope. There was, nope, so there was, engine 1, oh, just for the capital lease program, and rescue 3 for the capital lease program. So there is some continuing payments, but not for the purchase of them.
to the capital lease, so there'll be no new purchases in the next 5 years.
Unless something happens.
Unless,
Right.
you know, an emergency, I guess.
That is the engine one. That's the one that we was it last term or last year? I can't remember that we just approved.
We've had it for-
Oh, okay.
Engine one, we got like 2 years left.
Yeah, we have a few.
But
more
we already
years.
have that one. Yeah.
Yes, we do.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. President, if I may, really quickly, I just wanted to inform the council, Mike and I at the capital plan meeting, the capital committee meeting. I know that there's a ranking system that's done by the departments. The capital committee this time, I think, which was different from previous times, I feel like we kind of changed the ratings a little bit and we took like absolute need projects to be a number 1. That way, when we're looking at the whole committee, the capital plan as a whole, you can look at those number 1s and know those are an absolute need versus before they were, I don't think the ones were taken as seriously. So that was something that the whole committee did this year. And I think that's going to help in the future when we look at a project, we have extra money or something's going on, like we know exactly what needs to be done. And there was a big priority put on the schools, I remember as well. The windows and the doors in the schools, because there's a lot of money being lost, heating, cooling, things like that. It doesn't, from a cost benefit standpoint, doesn't make sense. So I just wanted to kind of inform the board of that. I think this plan might be a little more efficient than previous.
And I think we also focused on safety too.
Yeah,
like
safety and
schools.
efficiency was a big
Efficiency,
thing.
yes.
Yeah.
And as a discussion with the committee, we were able to put more focus on those rankings, I
Mhm.
think. And we discussed them and decided that that was a good idea to, you know, energy efficiency and safety were top
Yeah.
ranking.
I think the committee did a really great job on this year.
Yeah, they did.
Well, all the years, but specifically.
We had some really good conversations.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of money involved in
Oh,
here.
yes.
The town has a lot of capital needs. And so that's, as the councilwoman indicated, that's why it's so important to have these priority rankings involve what we really, really need at this point.
Councilwoman, thank you for that. And I was noticing actually, along with what you said, the committee rankings, like for example, I'll just use the police one. There are ones that are ranked There's 5 of them that are ranked number 1, 1 number 3, and 1 number 4. So what would be the reason why something's not rated number 2?
It was just part of the discussions that we were having. Caitlin,
But
Correct me if I'm wrong.
also some, like in the police and fire, some of those vehicle replacement or the capital leasing, we ranked as number 1 because they are already we have already purchased those items, and those are just payments that need to be made. So they were a priority because we are going to need to make those payments, like the body worn cameras. You know, that's something that we've purchased, we will need to pay for. The taser replacement program, I think that was started a few years ago. We're just finishing up the payments. So those were ranked number 1 because of they're already payments that need to be made.
Okay, thank you. That's good to know. Would someone be able to send me and if the council, if they're interested, the criteria associated with each priority level?
I don't think there's specific criteria. I think it was pretty objective or subjective
Subjective.
rather, which is, I think, why I mentioned the work the committee did this year, because there was a lot of discussion before we were going through the rankings themselves. What is a 1? What is a 2? What is a 3? And what is a 4? So that way we could kind of consistently rank everything.
That's what I'm asking for is.
There wasn't criteria. It was more of a discussion at the meeting, but
So the committee, just so I'm clear, the committee ranking is based on subjective criteria, not objective criteria.
that's correct.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
So, and I think we had discussed in that meeting that in future meetings where we're not discussing the capital plan itself, off-season meetings, that we were going to discuss the ranking and try to put something, together for people that are coming onto the committee or are new to the committee. So we do have something in writing and we do have set policies for that.
Yeah, that would be good.
Yes.
Thank you.
No other questions? Anyone else? Anyone else? Anyone else? Anyone else?
Just a quick question, because our finance director did a really good job, and I'm hearing better things come from you. The ranking is going to help us on the board. What I was thinking there when I was listening to her is, if we are doing safety things, go back to our insurance companies to see if we can get a better risk discount, and maybe that could be part of the process too. If there's doors, fire doors, whatever, I don't know anything about that stuff, but that's a wraparound savings. So you're going to put $10,000 in it, and you're going to get $200 off the insurance or whatever it is. So maybe target those as well, not only for safety, but also let's get some money back from the insurance companies.
Thank you. Anyone else? I'm going to close the public hearing. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
We have a second.
Second.
Any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Nays? Ayes have it. Item B, schedule a public hearing on March 3rd, 2026, a submission of the Town of Smithfield 2025 RIPDES Storm Water Report to RIDEM. I'll entertain a motion.
Oh, I got a report on this.
Okay.
Council members, the town engineer had another obligation this evening. So this is our annual RIPDES report, and just to remind everybody, RIPDES is the Rhode Island Pollutant Discharge Elimination System. It has to do with how we handle stormwater in our community. This was posted for a public hearing, which would have taken place on March 3rd. If anybody replied, and this is by state law, if anybody contacted the engineer's office regarding a public hearing, we would hold a public hearing. However, the town engineer reported to me that nobody contacted the engineering office regarding a public hearing. So therefore, if nobody requested it by state law, it's not required. And this can be approved to be forwarded to Rhode Island DEM this evening.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion then.
I move that the Smithfield Town Council schedule a public hearing at the March 3rd, 2026 Town Council meeting to address and finalize any comments on the RIPDES Small MS4 Annual Report for year 22. If no public comment is submitted as outlined above, a public hearing is not required.
So your motion is to pass it?
That's my motion.
Okay, I have a second. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Nays? Ayes have it. Item C, conduct a public hearing to consider, discuss, act upon approving renewal intoxicating beverage license as listed as applied, subject to compliance with all state regulations, local ordinances, and certificate of good standing for the Rhode Island Division of Taxation, and that would be Rogue Square Group. Travallo. Anybody here on that, on the behalf?
Motion to approve.
I gotta close the public hearing. Okay,
Motion to approve.
do we have a second? Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye,
Aye.
nays, ayes have it. Licenses, number 9, consider, discuss, act upon approving renewal of one entertainment license as applied, subject to compliance with all state regulations and local ordinances. Lynn, is everything in process with, everything's good for Travallo? I'll entertain a motion.
So
Mo-
moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Ayes have it. Item B, consider act upon approving annual renewal of a private detective license for Ralph Howe, 4 Anson Brown Road, Johnston, Rhode Island, for his business information connection unlimited, 400D, Putnam Pike, Suite 128, Smithfield, Rhode Island, as applied, subject to compliance with all state regulations and local ordinances.
Motion to approve.
Have a second. Any discussion?
I had a clarifying question. Is this license, since this individual does not live in the town, does this license, is it approving him to investigate people who live in Smithfield, or is it approving him to operate in Smith, like his business is in Smithfield?
He does investigations all over the country.
So he's based in Smithfield, his office? Oh, okay. I was just curious. Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, nays, ayes have it. Item 10, old business, consider, discuss, act upon authorizing the sale of town-owned property located at 26 Lakeview Drive, AP 02, Lot 26.
Good evening, council members. This is old business because it came before the council earlier. The situation is that we've got a privately owned parcel with a town-owned parcel next to it. Privately owned parcel has a dwelling. The town-owned parcel has the driveway and walkway for said dwelling. It's just, and they originally were looking for an easement. I was asked to investigate what the extent of the easement was, and it ended up being 60% of the parcel. Therefore, you know, I was speaking with the town manager, we decided that it would probably be best just to sell the property outright to the new buyer and merge the two parcels together instead of trying to own an easement on a, you know, majority of the property. I spoke to the broker for the buyer, and the buyer is willing to pay the $10,000 to the town. That number was developed based on the additional value that would add to the main lot by adding that lot into it. It will also merge it. It will remove the encroachment. There won't be an easement that has to be maintained, and the parcel will become more conforming than it currently is. So we ask that the council approve the sale and merger of that town-owned property.
Any questions?
Yeah, so we just take, you know, this is what happened. They've been using this piece of property. They used it. Now they're looking, you know, I say no. You can do whatever you want.
How did the amount of $10,000, how was that arrived at?
That was based on if you take the value of the existing private property, add the land that the town owns to the land of that property, and some administrative fees for.
I'm sorry, I can't hear. Not you. I just getting distracted.
Oh.
Go ahead.
Okay, so it's the increased value of the private lot when you add the area of the town lot to it. Some administrative fees for the subdivision, recording, things like that. It came to 10,000. The buyer was amenable to pay the 10,000. The situation is that the private lot is being sold. And so I guess they had the verbal agreement, I believe. I'm not super familiar with it, but the woman who owns the property now is selling it, and the buyer isn't comfortable buying it with the encroachment on the town lot. So that's why the original idea for the easement was pitched, but again, the town felt that it would be best to just sell it outright and merge it together.
And
Chris, is there
what
a
is the size, oh, excuse me.
Sorry.
What is the size of the town-owned lot?
Bear with me. I do have it here.
0.14 acres. It says on
Yeah.
Vision.
0.142.
And what is there an is there some kind of value that was put on that?
There is a value for that property. It's just an exempt property, so it's just whatever that amount of land would be as a buildable lot, which is 145,000. But we're gonna be merging the lot together with the neighboring lot, which is only also 0.195 acres. So when you have a lot that's 0.33 acres, which is the combined, it only increases the value by $10,000 because it no longer is a buildable lot, so it loses all that value. You couldn't take that 0.33 acre lot and cut it in half legally. But right now, it's a lot of record. It's a pre-existing non-conforming lot.
That lot exists on a paper street, right?
It was, but it's currently shown as its own separate parcel owned by the town. Is the way it's currently being recorded in the town's records. I believe it was a street at one point, but it became a town lot at some point. I don't know how or why, but
Well,
that is what it is being represented as of now.
But before the merger, is it a buildable lot that the town owns?
Miss, hang on. You'll get your chance.
It's a lot, it's an existing lot of record. So it would be buildable if you could meet setback and whatever else you would need to meet to make that, to get a building on that lot. It's not much smaller than the one next to it with the house, but that
Right.
house needs the other lot to have its driveway. So it would be a really tight fit. But I mean, technically, when there's a lot of record that exists, then you can build on it if you can meet the setbacks. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, we don't know.
Anthony.
Do you know what the site constraints are on the?
I don't, some sort of side setbacks and rear and front setbacks as usual. I don't know what they are. But I mean, it's a lot of record, whether it's buildable. I'm not going to opine on whether it's buildable because that's not what I do. But I'll tell you that it is an existing lot of record on the plat map. It's got a parcel ID and it's got an owner and it's got an area.
So I have a question, Chris, is according to the assessed value on Vision, as you referenced, 145,000 approximately. So is the town losing money on this?
No, the town gets zero money from it right now. And if we sell it, we'll get $10,000.
No, meaning like if somebody were to build on there or we were to sell it another situation other than this is what I'm saying.
Sell
Does
the
it have the
lot. It's-
potential to sell the lot for more in another situation?
I mean, I can't really opine on that. I mean, I don't know if it's buildable. I don't know what the setbacks are over there. I just know that it is an existing lot of record.
Okay, I thought,
And that number that comes on there through like a reval on an exempt town-owned property is just a number that came out of a model that nobody checks on. So I mean, it's clearly, I doubt it would be worth $145,000 on the open market. Because first of all, you've got an encroachment issue that has to be dealt with. And it's very, very small and it'd probably be really tough to fit something on there.
so how would this affect the buyer, the seller? Is she under a time crunch in terms of when she needs to sell if we do not approve this?
I believe they want to close next week and the buyer will not buy it if the encroachment situation isn't resolved.
Okay,
That's my understanding.
okay. Is this a public hearing? No, right? Okay, if I may, I just wanted to,
We have somebody else would like to.
oh, if
speak.
she could go before me,
okay.
that's
Yeah,
okay.
make it
Yeah,
up.
no problem.
I have
You
a
get
question
back.
for the assessor as well.
Not the ones I need.
Hi, good evening. Dee Conley, broker for Williams and Stewart Real Estate, licensed for 22 years. I am representing your taxpayer. Her name is Joan P. Kennedy. She is very ill, bedridden at Cherry Hill Nursing Home. This is already 2 months past the original closing date. I'm very emotional right now because this woman worked at the post office here in town for 40 years. I have original maps from 1915 when this was developed. I have maps for you guys showing, I don't even know how they approved this lot without access to the front door. And again, this was done from 1965. I'm bringing this lot to your attention that you didn't even know about. That is, and we're just trying to get her money because she has no money left to pay the nursing home. This had a closing date with the buyer, fair market value. All we asked for was to grant the buyer an easement to get to the front door. We did not advertise it with parking. We are not trying to use it as a driveway. This is actually used by every person in that terrace to access the water, the paper road Island Drive. You guys are asking us to purchase a paper road that this woman has been maintaining without interruption at her own expense since 1965. And now that it's brought to your attention, you've not only postponed the closing twice, but now we have other issues that is affecting this woman being able to get her end of care help. She has no children. She's bedridden. She needs her money. I'm going to show you these maps, please.
We're not asking your owner to buy the lot. The buyer's gonna buy it.
We wanted just to have the closing to get Joan her money so she doesn't get kicked out of a nursing home.
She won't get kicked out of a nursing home.
Whatever the case may be, she's been paying taxes on this property. All we asked for was an easement for the buyer, and then you guys deal with it later. Deal with it with the buyer, but let us stop holding us hostage. Let us close on this piece of property. I know how this.
But listen, it predates everybody here.
Well, here's-
Can I just add something? I understand. I'm not trying to get in your way.
There's already issues with the setbacks that you've already allowed to transfer. Please.
I spoke to the broker and she says the buyer will buy your property as long as he knows that the council will sell the other lot to him for $10,000. Right, but nobody wants your,
Contract for this property.
nobody's asking your property owner to buy that piece of property. We're just asking the council to sell it to the buyer so that he can buy the property from your owner. But we don't want to grant an easement.
Well,
I spoke to the broker and she,
The town had to do their due diligence.
Contract. Nobody expressed any.
What was misrepresented?
In, we were beyond our contract date. You were depending on this easement to close us. She was in a nursing home with 1 month left.
That's understood, but what happened was it was an encroachment that existed for years. So the owner of the property, the existing owner of the property encumbered town property for years.
Why would you let her build a house on the, you can't, she can't get in the front door of the house the way that the house sits on building that's over. I have no idea how that was.
so just,
Bottom line.
Well, that's not true.
okay, so the broker told me on the phone that if the town will approve tonight to sell the lot for 10,000 to the buyer, not to the seller, then the buyer will close the deal on the 23rd. And then you'll be done with it. You don't have to worry about easements. But it's 6 days from
That
now.
has nothing to do with why we're here.
A council
We're
meeting.
trying to help the situation. The only reason I came up with the whole idea was to help to get your seller to sell the property. So if they vote yes, then she sells it on Monday. So am I. So am I.
Advocating for the taxpayer.
I am. I'm telling you, if the council votes tonight to sell the property to the buyer, then you will close your deal on Monday, the 23rd,
Can't read.
per the broker.
Chris,
There's two options here.
Yeah.
The town can either sell the property with 3 options. Town can either do nothing, leave it as is, can sell the property, or grant an easement for a certain dollar amount for the amount of property that constitutes the amount of the
Yeah.
encroachment.
Attorney George has prepared that easement.
I understood. Yeah, they have, the council has a copy of it. They had it at the last meeting.
We don't have it now.
And it got tabled because that wasn't the will of the town.
Because the council was more
Thank you.
interested in exploring the opportunity to sell the property.
Either way, you get to sell your property. That's what you want. And that's what we're trying to do for you. Right, that's what, exactly what we're all trying to do, or at least I am. That's what the whole point of selling this piece of property to the buyer, not to your person. We don't want to bother her. We want her to close on the 23rd. And if the council approves the sale, the buyer will buy the property, he'll buy your property and buy the town's property and merge the parcels together, which is a win-win-win for all three parties involved.
So I'm assuming that we have, I don't want to assume, but do we have in writing that the buyer is going to close on
I
the
think he's-
23rd?
He's here.
Well, do we have in writing is my question.
Buyer will sit here and tell you that he'll buy it right now.
That's not what I'm asking. Do we have it in writing?
It'll be part of the record when he says it on the microphone to you.
Why doesn't the buyer just?
I'm asking for
Come on.
your client's benefit, Hunter. Oh, it's not up to me.
My name is Brendan Saylor. I'm the buyer on contract, and I am fully prepared. We have been waiting for this one detail of the deal to close, but yes, as soon as it is voted on, I'm fully prepared. However it is dealt with, I'm ready to do it.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mr. President, if I may, are you doing, are you?
I have something else to say, but please go
Okay.
ahead.
I just want to clarify because it sounds like you're the realtor, correct? It sounds like the realtor mentioned that parcel is access to the water. Is that correct?
It doesn't look like it. It's a town-owned parcel.
Excuse me, miss, I'm talking to our tax assessor. Thank you.
From my review of the parcel map, that is no longer a street. Somehow during time before I got here, it became a parcel. It's got a parcel ID. If it was a street, it wouldn't have a parcel ID. So now that's what it is.
Okay.
And so it
I just want to clarify, like, if people can still access the water
they,
in
yes,
another way.
sorry. Yes, Councilman. I actually reviewed that very question with the Planner Gerton, and we found multiple other access to the water.
Okay.
Because that was also a concern of ours that we did not want to take that away. Obviously, that's an important thing. So there are multiple other ways to access that water outside of that particular piece of property.
Okay, because I'm seeing head shaking in the negative on that in the audience. So I obviously trust your opinion.
Again, I
just
didn't
wanna
make the
sure
call.
We're not selling this parcel that's apparently being used for many things that it shouldn't be being used for, which is fine, I guess. I just don't want to sell a parcel off to a private owner who has the right to restrict that parcel to only themselves, which is completely their right to do, and then the neighbors are unable to access the water elsewhere in another way. So I just want to make sure we're not restricting other neighbors.
So all I have to
Yeah,
offer
I
to
know, yeah.
respond in response to that is that I and the planner reviewed that with that in mind of access. It's more or less a swamp at that point, and there's plenty of other that we found a review of the area in the maps. We did find access to the water. We're not taking away access by selling that. The
Okay.
letter from the lawyer before, when he's asking for an easement, calls it out as a town lot as well. Doesn't
Yeah.
call it out as an access road or anything like that. It has a parcel ID and it's a lot right now.
Yeah, okay,
I mean, if the water access is an issue prior to the sale, we can draw right away on the side of it. If that's what the issue is, the reason that we're trying to get this done now, or at least approve that we will sell the property with or without an easement, that could possibly be the amendment, is to close the deal. Because again, this nice lady here is highly concerned about her property owner, which is understandable.
yeah. I have no issue rectifying all the issues that are in this area, but I want the do this now and do this later approach is not appropriate.
agree.
It all needs to be resolved at once.
Chris, how significant of from what you know, how significant of a problem are these encroachments in that whole Terrace Avenue area?
The easement that was asked for and drawn up when I did the math was 60% of that parcel.
No, but
The entire front.
there are other properties too in that area that have the same issue. It's my understanding too.
Encroachment issues?
Yeah,
I don't know. I didn't review the whole area. I mean, it was just, I got brought into this at the 11th hour anyway, and this was the best answer that I thought would resolve the situation for all three parties involved. The buyer, the seller, and the town all at the same time. Plus you have a less non-conforming lot. And if the easement that this was drawn up took up the whole front anyway, so we would have blockaded the back from usage regardless. If that's what it is, but and if you look at the map, it's really not even water over there. It's like a swamp.
okay, is this like a pond that people are using?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
But this is like
Is it-
sort
oh,
of
this
the
is
tail end of
August.
it.
Hmm.
Right. It kind of,
minute, you'll-
it comes
you'll
down to
get
just
chance
kind of get
again.
swamped out in that area.
Okay. And then the $10,000 value, you based on the value of lot 28, or number 28, if it was one piece, you're saying,
If lot 27 and 28 and 26
Combined.
were combined,
it would be plus 10,000.
based on the land curve model that we have now, added a little under 10,000, that we have administrative fee for the subdivision
Okay.
recording and things like that.
I'm not, and I'm not questioning your math on this. It just seems like doubling a lot size would amount to something else.
Yes, and I get that a lot. So what happens is we have what they call a land curve. So each acre that you add to a lot, or each square foot that you add to a lot, becomes less and less valuable. So if you're, say, in an R20 zone where you need 20,000 square feet,
Mhm.
I have a 20,000 foot lot and you have a 30,000 foot lot. Your lot is not worth 50% more than mine.
I understand.
Because you have that 20,000 buildable, you have a buildable lot. That's what you have. The excess land, and that's how we call it excess. And if you look at the way it's built up, I can show you, but it's, once you get past the zone, that land becomes much, much less valuable. Now, if I have lots and lots of acres in an R20 and I cut them into a subdivision, I add value because I did work to it. I had to get lawyers and engineers, and that costs money, and that's how you add the value to it. When you merge parcels together, they become less valuable because they're now, they can't be resplit.
Okay. What is stopping this buyer? Because this looks like a buildable lot to me, based on nothing besides the map and like the existing non-conforming in the area. What's stopping the buyer from buying this for 10,000 and flipping it and selling it for 145?
Because part of the deal is it has to be merged into that property
Okay.
as well.
And then why can't he just do a subdivision then right after? Can't he
Because
just-
it would be illegal to subdivide that
Okay.
property because of the size. Even combined, it's not meeting the zone requirements. It's a R20 zone, and when you combine the two parcels together, it's 14,379 square feet. So it wouldn't be, you wouldn't be allowed to cut a 14,000
Okay.
foot lot in half in an R20 zone.
So if this buyer purchase, and I'm not trying to say that you have ill intent, sir. I'm just trying to say, like, if this buyer purchases it, it'll be used for what you say it's gonna be used for, and it's not, whatever, you know what I'm saying? Okay,
The terms of the purchase and sales of that 10,000 foot lot would include the merger.
okay.
It wouldn't, you
Make
wouldn't get to
merge.
buy it as its own lot. It would have to be bought and then merged together.
Okay. And it
That would be
remain
the
that way.
terms.
And then it would stay that way. Like, it couldn't be broken up again.
Could not be. I mean,
Okay.
again, I can't really opine on like zoning and planning and stuff, but I think in an R20 zone, if you have a 14,000 foot lot, that'd be a heavy lift to get somebody to let you cut that in half.
Thank you.
Mr. Hoskins.
Good evening, Tom Hodgkins. Good evening, Tom Hodgkins. It's my understanding that there's been no appraisal performed of the town-owned lot, and the council is raising some very good, fair questions about the value of the lot. And I think a lot of those questions would have been answered if an appraisal was performed of this lot. And these issues of selling town land come up from time to time. I think it would be good due diligence and sound practice for any item like this that comes to the council to be presented with an appraisal conducted in advance so that the council can answer those questions. I think that's something that the council should consider making a policy for the town before these items come to a meeting agenda. Thank you.
Thank you. Chris, was there appraisal done?
No, I used the model that we bought when we bought the revaluation. So the assessment of the property, which we would base our taxes on, would increase by $10,000 by merging the properties together. I utilized that because it's not a highly valuable property to start getting appraisals on. But I mean, they got an appraisal to buy it. I'm sure it wouldn't appraise more than 10,000 more by adding a few thousand square feet to the lot from my experience in appraising property.
Okay. Miss?
Sorry there, I got a little, on behalf of my client, that's all. I just want to see that something that was done in 1965 that was never recorded. I don't think it should hold up our part of the sale. If you could grant us a temporary easement so we can close on it, and then he is only gonna buy or cut it loose or whatever it is, but right now, you had 60 days. I thought the whole reason why we pushed it to this month was to get the assessment, which again, I apologize. I didn't know who you were here for and who you were representing, but as somebody that's been in real estate and licensed for 22 years, I can tell you, none of those lots are conforming. None of them. There are no setbacks between this parcel and the parcel next to it. There's no frontage. Again, when I say I don't understand how it got approved, how do you approve a lot where you can't even access your front door? You can all see clearly that the lot that was approved to build this house in 1965 was on a non-conforming lot. All we want to do is sell the parcel that we offer to sell and close on it without it having to do with whatever happens next. And get the taxpayers' money to her so she can stay in the care that she needs at the end of her life. 40 years she worked at the post office. Yeah, I'm advocating for the taxpayer. I don't care what you guys do on your end, but I need to protect the person that's 60 days past closing for a thing that we're no further closer to, when there's a simple solution in front of you to either give us a lease it back, give us the other property is called Little Beach. Little Beach is the other waterfront access. I believe you do have a lease with that property, and that's the only other parcel in that lot. This was a subdivision that is consistently, since 1915, had the paper road. It was never to be built on. It was never to be developed. It was never meant to be developed, which is the only reason I can understand why they let them build a house that big on the envelope. They had to go front to back with it to get the 50-foot of frontage. You only have 40-foot of frontage on that lot.
The reason why is they were all summer homes. They were all summer homes back in the 60s.
Stand,
And I'm
but at a
not
certain
saying-
point, how does that become our problem? I know, no.
This will help get where you want to go.
I just want to explain to you that we're in a vacant house in the middle of winter that should have been closed on December 20th. It's February 20th. There's no money. The money is is tied up in the house.
Who's gonna pay it?
We have a closing date on the 23rd, if we can settle this.
Can I ask a clarifying question to interrupt? Is just to confirm, is the potential buyer of this lot in front of us the same buyer of the house that you're?
Yes,
It is. Okay, just making
yes,
sure.
that's him. That's him and his mom.
Okay, all right, just confirming. Doesn't say that.
What
Any
if
other
what if
questions?
we were to sell just an easement
Yeah.
for the $10,000? I'm
And make
asking,
the
I'm
initial-
asking, Mr. Celeste.
Because now you still have a non-conforming lot. Now you have a giant easement over a town-owned property. And you don't get the tax money for the 10 grand that you just sold that property for. Not that that's huge tax money, but by merging it in, you get a little more taxes, you get $10,000. And an easement just prolongs the situation. If the property's sold and merged, it becomes less non-conforming. We don't have giant easements over town-owned property that now we're still ultimately responsible for the property and liability wise and everything else because we're still the underlying owner. So if we sell it outright, which the buyer just came up here and told you he would buy, Ms. Kennedy can sell her property to the buyer, we sell our property to the buyer, merge them together. I just don't see the downside. I really can't. If somebody can tell me why that's not a good idea or the best way to resolve everything, okay.
Right. I was gonna say, it may be right in the deed that it cannot be redivided. It cannot be subdivided again. Make it part of the deed. Make it a restriction to the deed when you connect them, that this property will stay a merged lot and will never be subdivided, period.
Once it's married.
Just for the council, I don't know if we want to discuss this amongst ourselves, but I have no problem getting rid of this lot. I don't think it's helping the town in any way. My only concern is the dollar value for which we're selling the lot. I don't think an easement is appropriate here. I agree with the tax assessor. Like, I think it's either sell it or don't. I don't think an easement makes sense because it's such a large percentage. And I'm okay with selling it because we're not doing anything with it, but I just want confirmation, like from neighbors and stuff, that that's not going to negatively impact them. And I also want to make sure that that dollar value is appropriate. I don't know how to do that. I feel like the assessed value like is appropriate, but I don't know.
That's how we
If
would.
I was, if I was a buyer, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that that assessed value is what we would make them pay for taxes. You know,
Right.
we would send them a bill and say, the
Regardless.
value
what
of your
sell.
property is, you know, X plus 10,000. So that's why I felt that was the appropriate way to do it, because if we're gonna say, hey, this is what you should pay tax on, why should we sell it to them for more
Mm.
than what the value add would be
That's a good point.
on their assessment?
That's a good point. So regardless of what the sale price of it is, the tax assessed value of the, of 28 or of the lot merged remains 10 until it
That-
goes up.
It was, yeah, it wasn't even,
Because of-
10, it was a hair less, like 9,000. and change.
Okay.
Got it somewhere, but yeah.
What's your pleasure?
I'm
There's
sorry, what?
administrative fees for subdivisions and recording and stuff, so I added those in as well.
So then I don't really have an issue with the sale price. I don't know. I mean, it's probably not worth that. If we're being honest, it's probably worth more. It probably is buildable. It looks like it's the same size as the other one. Like, I don't know. But
may
I
I
feel like it's
just-
probably acceptable.
I just want to say, and I also agree with the councilwoman, I have no issue with selling this lot or doing an easement, whatever, although, you know, we can't do an easement. It's not an agenda item. My issue with this is the fact that we have here a memo and that's it. There is no further information and although I have no reason not to believe our tax assessor or anyone else who is making verbal statements here this evening, we don't have any information, the calculation, the vision appraisal, we're saying that there's a deal to not flip to sell the little lot and flip it. Where's that information? Where's the backup information? There's literally nothing here. That's my problem. And I'm put in a bad spot because I don't want to hold up this woman who's trying to sell her property. I'm not interested in doing that. In an appraisal, whatever else, terms of the purchase and sales, we have nothing. That's my problem. I can't, I want to vote yes on this to get rid of it, to move things along, but this is a very big problem for me and I feel like I'm put in a very bad position with things like this. I'm not interested in whose fault it is or what happened or whatever. All I want is information going forward. I can't keep voting on things in the
Okay.
affirmative with no information.
Solicitor Galone, we spoke about this. I told you I had the memo. I asked you if we required any backup. You opined to me that the memo is sufficient at this time. We can't write a P&S without both parties agreeing to sell something. So you have to agree to it first and then you write the P&S later. Is
No,
that how
exactly.
the order of operations here?
Right.
All we're asking is the council, would they allow the town to sell the property for $10,000 with the merger? That's the terms. It would get written up as a P&S, but not until both parties agree.
Well, saying there's a calculate, and I'm not trying to argue with you, Chris, don't get me wrong. Saying based on a calculation, there's no calculation here. I'm looking at vision, it's saying 145,000 and that's 10,000 here. How did this come up anyway? We tabled the original item and this is not the original item. So that's my problem.
You want to see the record card where I added that piece of land into it?
Again, I have no reason not to believe you. You're the expert, you're the professional here. I trust
Well, I'm
you.
the one that
but
sends
that's
the
not
tax
point.
bills, and I mean, I'm telling you, that's what it's gonna be. When I
get
send a
it, but-
tax bill to this buyer, if we let this thing go through and merge it, the value of that property that we're assessing, that we're gonna charge taxes on, is gonna increase by about $9,400.
Once again, I totally believe you, but that's not the point. I need backup.
So
Again,
my
I don't
testimony
care.
is
I
not
don't
valid.
care.
I mean, what more do you want from me? I'm telling you, I did the math.
I'm telling you, as a council member who
What would it
vote,
matter if I showed you a record card or not? Then you.
It
could say,
does
"Well, I
matter.
knew You did it right.
it
on,
does
hang on,
matter
hang
to
on.
have backup information.
Hang on.
And again, I'm not saying it's your fault. I'm not interested in whose fault it is. I'm just saying I need backup information.
Okay. Councilwoman?
Guys, I'm comfortable approving this today. I think the only issue that I would have is the neighbors. We could put some type of contingency on it that Chris shows us, maybe like the other access points or whatever. But I don't think that should hold up the sale of a property. We're not using this parcel. It's kind of junk to everybody except for the guy that's gonna buy it. Like, I don't know.
We'll make the motion.
I make a motion to approve, and if someone wants to amend my motion to have that contingency of the water access, actually, I'll make the motion with the water access map to be provided. And that's it.
Do I have a second? No second?
How are we gonna ensure the contingencies and how are we gonna?
It's gonna be
Sure.
PNS.
Oh, so we're gonna see that?
I mean, no, I guess we wouldn't see it.
The correct thing is to hold it. Doesn't matter. She's not getting kicked out of the nursing home. That's baloney. That's bullshit. Doesn't happen. And do this right.
Well,
Is this-
how do you suggest we proceed from here, Councilman?
Sit down, be quiet. This is shoved down our throat, as far as I'm concerned. They came in at the last minute. Typical of this lawyer. Right? I held it up and I asked a couple of questions. It's not Chris's fault. Now we're asking questions again. We get that. That's our option. That's our right. That's what we do. It's not our problem that somebody else doesn't meet their challenge. We don't hear. So we'll get this.
I think the question was, what do you suggest?
We hold it. Let's get an appraisal. And if everything that Chris says is right, then we're backing Chris too.
I'm not interested in appraisal personally. Because I trust the assessor's opinion that the plus value, the appraisal would be, okay, we're gonna sell the property for whatever. The only difference in us selling the property for more money is the cash that we're getting from this now taxpayer in Smithfield. Like, I'm not trying to milk a new taxpayer for $100,000. That's not what I'm in business of doing. But I do think they should pay their appropriate taxes. And if whether this property is worth $500,000 or $1, if the tax value is plus 10,000, I accept that value personally. But I do want to make sure other neighbors are not affected because one person was erroneously using this land as their own. And I want to make sure that there's not 10 other people erroneously using this land as their own as well. It's a communal land. And that's not only going to negatively affect the neighbors and the town, but it'll negatively affect you purchasing it if you have people walking on your property and then you're beefing with all your neighbors all the time. As a new person, I don't know what town you've lived in previously, but that's not fun to move into a neighborhood such as this and beef with all your neighbors. So if we can show, I'm not sure how the assessor thinks we should do this, but just some other access, or even like, just like if we chat with some of the neighbors, hey, like, do you guys use this? What's the deal? Because the map reflects one thing, but real life is different. And just see if there's other ways to get to this lake. And if there is, I'm cool with the 10,000. Personally.
Councilwoman, I agree with you. So what are you suggesting in that?
So I suggest we make a motion to approve so they can at least get their closing documents in place. And we have the tax assessor either send us a memo where we at the next meeting or whatever, present us with the entrances and exits to this pond. And as long as, we're okay with it, maybe we send some notice to some neighbors, as long as we're okay with that and it's not too contentious, then the sale can go through.
And the closing is this month on the 23rd? Or is it in March?
The simple thing is, I told him the day he saw the house that this is what the neighbors in the neighborhood use. If they wanted to use this is always gonna be.
Respectfully, they're not here. And I'm not saying you're gonna lie to us. I don't think you would, but they're not here. I have no idea if they support this or not. And this is not just for the benefit of us. This is for the benefit of the buyer. You're
Right.
getting out of there. Your client's getting out of there. You don't care what happens, but I care what
I
happens.
care about what happens,
And the
absolutely.
new buyer needs to be in a neighborhood that's welcoming to him and not like restricting everyone's access.
What about a petition?
Yeah, if everyone can sign something quick and give it to us, that way we don't have to have a special meeting, that's fine. Just some type of approval or like something like, hey, neighbors, here's a letter, respond to us in 10 days or whatever it is. So that way we know everyone's okay with it.
All right, so your motion would be to approve pending.
Pending, clearance from the neighbors.
Contingent.
Contingency
Contingent on-
that the neighbors approve this. And if there's one neighbor, right, that maybe doesn't approve it, that's not what I'm saying. I don't think we should be really harsh about
I
it.
could bring my computer if you need me to draft anything for
thank
you
you.
and present. Okay.
May I, so that's, I don't have any issue with that. My issue is, okay, so where's the cutoff? If 2 neighbors have a problem, if 3 neighbors have a problem,
Well, I think it's
We're doing this-
discretionary on us. We'll be presented with this petition or this letter or whatever. And it would be discretionary on us as to whether or not we find that this access, the other access they would have is appropriate.
Well, I think they should know what our sort of cutoff is, but at the same time, I agree with Councilman Winfield. I think this needs to be done right. So again, we're in this pickle here that we shouldn't be in. So,
So that would be my suggestion. I'm open to other suggestions. I know
Yeah.
Councilwoman Winfield made a suggestion.
So, yeah,
So my motion, I'll amend my motion to be, I make a motion to approve the sale of this lot to the proposed buyer for $10,000, contingent on the council in their discretion approving the sale after some discussion with the neighbors this may affect. Is that a good motion?
is there any other information we want aside from what I want, but
The money thing I'm okay with. I don't
you don't
think
want the
an
appraisal?
I
Yeah.
don't think an appraisal is appropriate, personally.
How long does it take to get an appraisal? A while, right?
I mean, it's good.
Long time. Yeah.
It's
I mean,
not a
did that
time
get
thing.
Councilman Winfield to vote in favor of it? I mean, because I know that was his concern, you know?
And
You want an appraisal, you
yeah.
think? I mean, what if we vote on it? I mean, I don't think an appraisal appropriate. Council Winfield does. We can talk about it, whatever.
Well, an appraisal would look at the value of this lot as if we were going to sell it
We're not.
separately, which we're not going to do. And so maybe it doesn't make sense to get an appraisal. Maybe what makes more sense is the way the tax assessor did it by saying that, you know, what's the added value
Yeah.
to the original lot by adding the town portion to it. And
Because that's
if
the
that 10,
actual value to us as a town. in my
and
opinion.
once we add them together, then we start, right now, we're getting zilch on this. We're not getting any tax money or anything. And once we add them together, then we would be getting more tax money because we have the two of them together.
But
I
you
think
have to
that's
think
the
that
argument.
Neighborhood could use that piece of property.
Well, I think that's a different question. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
They're, now we're gonna take that away from them. So if somebody else parked their car over there, or
Right.
whatever it is, because that's what happens up there. Now that's gonna be taken away. So the action is gonna cause a reaction. So
But if we have a document that states to sign off on, would that be acceptable?
but I mean, if you have, that's fine. I think that's doing the Mickey Mouse and.
What would you think is better? From a neighborhood permission standpoint, like what would you prefer?
I don't know,
Okay,
because I don't know what's going on.
yeah. It's hard to say.
Okay, we have a motion.
That would be my motion.
We have a second?
Might I ask you to repeat the second part of that?
Might
I mean, there's a lot of talk here.
I rephrase? I don't even know what I said the first
Thank you,
time.
Councilwoman.
Okay.
Rephrase.
Him.
So are you gonna,
So I'll make a motion to approve the sale of this lot 26 to the potential buyer. I guess so long as they buy 28 as well. Contingent on, I guess, their purchase of 28, as well as documentation from neighbors regarding their usage or non-usage of that parcel, as well as an alternate water access map. What do we think?
Manager Seltzer, is that, because you would be the one directing the department heads to do something like this. So what do you think?
Chris, does that
I
make
know the
sense?
thing is going 57,000 different ways, but what if the buyer would grant a right of way across this parcel to the water?
Done.
I mean, he's here, so we can ask him if he would be willing to do that. No? Okay.
Don't do that?
That's, no,
Why?
I'm sorry. I'm just trying to hold.
I like that. Okay,
that's giving away his rights.
all right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just no.
I'm like, yeah.
I only
I hear you.
suggest
So
that
get the
because
sides.
it's a way to
We're
Go ahead.
jamming this thing down
agree.
because
because they just found out they don't have access to the property right before they closed.
That's
Yeah.
not our problem. We're
Right.
making it our problem, not our problem.
So listen, they can use this road, right?
Who's they?
You're already
We're not-
using it.
That's
So,
what I mean.
so 60%, according to Chris, 60% of their lot, 60% of the seller's lot, the adjacent lot is encumbered by these,
The town.
it's encumbered on the town property. So
But there's-
60% of that town lot is encumbered by the seller for purposes of ingress and egress driveway.
They've just been using it, or they have a true reason?
No, they've been using it since the house was built over here.
So it's technically a town road.
That somehow, somehow, it was named Island Drive, but somehow this became a designated town lot. I don't know how,
Long time
When?
ago.
but
It's like that on all the maps that I have back to the nineties.
So they're physically using the property?
they're physically using the property right now. They've been using
Their
it for
drive-
decades, since 1965. What?
We've been trespassing for 75 years. Right?
Yeah, what neighbor wasn't taking all this information? And is it advocating for John?
I need to hear from the neighbors on this. That's a non-negotiable for me because
Can't be built.
it's not appropriate for this buyer to have, you're right. Now that I think about that right away more, like then he's gonna have people walking through, like, that's not cool.
Yeah, it's a.
So they can close, and then they can come back on this particular lot.
Listen, we're not gonna do this like they did it in 1965 and then run into these problems 40 years, 60 years from now. You guys have been not you guys, this woman has been trespassing on town property literally forever. And what we don't want is for that to happen again. So if it's done, I think as long as the neighbors approve it, any new people that move into that house will recognize that that's not a right of way for them. Any new neighbors that move into that neighborhood will know, right? But the existing neighbors, if they're using it, like, we need to know.
Can I ask, I don't know if the buyer would be interested in answering this, but is the buyer amenable to delaying the closing so we can just do this right?
More than happy waiting. From my understanding about this process, the pressure for closing the deal has been from the seller. I'm more than happy waiting, nothing wrong with it.
And who's your attorney, actually? Who you represented by?
Sean?
Oh, Sean Elliott is your
Sean
attorney.
Elliott.
Okay.
If you're.
Thanks
in a
very much.
rush, I think it'd be nice to set you up to move into our town. This is a crazy first impression of our town.
Yeah.
We're not usually like this, I promise. But I would like to set you up to move into Smithfield where you enjoy living here and you don't have problems on your land,
Correct.
you know?
Yeah,
Exactly.
I definitely appreciate that. I'm an advisor at Fidelity, so right up the road. I've
Excellent.
no plans on leaving.
Perfect.
If you want to put it in contract, can't split it up,
Yeah, we're-
sign it today.
okay.
Once closed.
Yeah, get
I
released.
think that's the best option.
So-
at this
Why
point.
don't we do this? Anthony, why don't you work with his attorney to get something concrete?
And then take care of this at the next meeting?
Yes.
So then I'll rescind my motion. We don't have to do approve contingent on, we can just address the issues
Next meeting.
next meeting.
So let's just be clear about what we want here, so we don't have this fiasco again. So we want what? Neighbor approval?
And
Yeah, but
water
Anthony work
access.
with his attorney.
Well, I just want to make sure council members have what they need.
I want neighbor approval and water access.
Neighbor approval and water access. Okay.
Or
And-
neighbor usage, not even approval. They don't need to approve it. They just need to,
How many neighbors?
I just need to know what their usage is on that land.
So I would like to see just an outline of the calculation here, as well as if there's any deal, as referenced, as you said, the buyer won't buy it and flip it. If there's anything in writing, those would be what I want.
You put that, we would
Yeah.
put that in a sales agreement.
Mhm.
As a contingency.
Subdivision.
Yeah.
Doesn't sound like it's available anyway. Yeah.
Gonna amend your motion?
I'll rescind my motion and I'll make a new motion to table to the next meeting.
Have a second.
Second.
Any discussion? No. All in favor?
Aye.
Nays? Ayes have it. Item 11, new business.
You, tax assessor.
Thank you.
You.
Thank you, guys. I still love everybody.
Sitting as a Smithfield Water Supply Board, consider, discuss, act upon authorizing request for proposal for Log Road Water Main Extension. Director.
Good evening. Gene Allen, Director of Public Works and Water Commissioner. As you recall, I was before you before, and we are in the process of designing the Log Road Water Main Extension. This would be for funded through an emerging contaminants grant through the Rhode Island Infrastructure Bank. No cost to the town. The grant has paid for the original design. I spoke with the Department of Health and Rhode Island Infrastructure Bank today. You'll see in your packet, there's an estimate of about $1.48 million to build this project. I'm going to have construction administration included in that. It's probably going to be another 50,000-60,000. I'm waiting for that quote right now. They've told me that there's no issue as far as the funding level for what this is. This also includes the replacement of the culvert, which we currently have a couple of steel plates over. So we have all of our submittals for design, the categorical exclusions, everything is in front of the Department of Health right now, and they are conducting their review. I should have those comments back by this Friday. Those minor comments that we anticipate will, just a little wordsmithing here and there. This is most likely what's going to be required. Those will be incorporated next week. I'd like to get this out to bid as soon as we can. If we can get this out to bid and I can open it, let's say early to mid-March, we could potentially have the closing not the closing, I'm sorry, I'm thinking about the last. We could have the award towards the end of the month or early April, and then we can actually have a contract in place and start construction sometime during the month of April. That would allow what I anticipate to be about a 2-month project, and I'll be in front of you later on to go out to bid for the 116 project, which will be later on this summer.
And I just will say as the liaison to the Smithfield Water Supply Advisory Board that there was a consensus within the board members to move forward with this.
So just to be clear, the grant is $1 million.
So the grant,
And-
the grant was originally 143,000 to do the design. We now have an estimate, they originally said there was $1 million. I talked to the Department of Health, and I also talked to Rhode Island Infrastructure Bank. I gave them the estimate. They said there's not a problem. They have the funding to do that. They're just going to, I'm hoping that Rhode Island Infrastructure Bank is going to get an approval up to a certain amount. And then when the bids come in, it comes in underneath that. And then we can just go ahead, and the next time in front of you will be for the award of the contract for the construction and also the contract with Rhode Island Infrastructure Bank to receive the grant to fund that in its entirety.
Any other questions? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Nays, ayes have it. Item B, sitting as the Water Supply Board, consider, discuss, act upon authorizing the town manager to enter into a contract with Beta Group of Lincoln, Rhode Island, to 2026 update, a risk resiliency assessment in the amount of not to exceed $18,000 to be funded by the Water Supply Board operating budget.
So this is one of our many reports that we have to do on a 5-year cycle. This risk and resiliency assessment is going to be the cybersecurity. It's going to be looking at our infrastructure. It's going to be updating a plan that we did 5 years ago. It's not doing the entire assessment over again. We've already identified where our vulnerabilities are. We've addressed those. So this is just updating that. This would then go into, this is due June 30th of this year. Then at the end of this year, December 30th, is the emergency management plan. The results of this will be incorporated into that plan. And then further, will be the large plan will be later on.
Any questions? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Nays, ayes have it. Consider, discuss, act upon authorizing request for proposal for street paving services.
If you'll recall, we extended the contract for street paving services for this year that we're in right now. We have some work planned for this spring, but this contract ends as of June 30th of this year. This will be going out to bid and award for work that goes from July 1st for the next 3 years.
Director, is it possible that you can get all of us a copy of what roads are gonna be paved, 2026, 2027?
I've sent what I have already on the books.
Yeah, I still have the document. I thought I put in one of my managers, but I have the document you sent me. That's the latest one, right? Because somebody had inquired, I think Councilman Winfield had inquired.
Yeah,
That's the most current one.
so, yeah, I can tell you now, that, I mean, I can send the document again, but right now what I'm looking at is, off of Orchard Avenue, you have, Downing Wood, that little, square right there. You're gonna completely reclaim that. We sent notices out to those residents in the fall if they had any work that had to be done prior to. I'm also looking at doing, off of, Greenville Avenue, contemporary that area in there, getting all Reaper and getting that area. That's gonna be cold plain and overlay. We're gonna be sending, notice out to those residents shortly. That will use up the funds, or come close to using up the funds that we currently have. So I can't give you a list of future streets until I know what the appropriation is for next year.
Also, can we get a hold of the state too about doing Greenville Avenue over?
They just did Greenville Avenue not too many years ago.
I drove there the other day. There's more potholes and potholes.
Do you mean?
Can you check that? Yeah, the older part.
Oh, I'll give them a call. See what we can
Thank
do.
you.
The street will never get done.
Thank you.
What about the on-ramp for 295 at the gas station, the crossings? That's a bad area. But anyways. that's
They
not
actually
what-
have, I actually just received something today. I can send that over. I,
Few teams,
yeah, they're in,
all the way up from Northern Waterman, all the way.
Oh, good.
Dancroft down to, the Johnstown line, and it includes some of the ramps.
Director, just a quick question. Is that best practice that you reach out to neighbors before you pave the roads?
So what I generally like to do is send out a notice ahead of time to say, we're gonna be in here. If you have any, just in case they want to put a gas service in, if they have any reason they want to widen their driveway, change the curbing or anything like that, they can contact us and we can work with them, make sure their work is done. Because once we pave the road, we try to enforce a 5-year moratorium before we allow anyone else to get in there. So as much communication as we can have between the residents and what we're doing, it just helps the job go smoother.
I think that's a great idea. Thank you.
I'll entertain a motion.
Second.
Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Nays, ayes have it. Consider act upon authorizing request for proposals for pavement crack sealing services.
This is just one of our annual contracts that this one expired last year. I just didn't have any plans to do any of this work, so I didn't renew it as of last year. So this will be for July 1st moving forward, but we'll be going out to bid for that.
I'll entertain a motion. I have a second.
Second.
Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Nays, ayes have it. Thank you, Director.
Thank you.
Item E, consider discuss act upon authorizing a contract to the Rhode Island Master Price Agreement number 503 with the CLA account for the comprehensive performance assessment audit in the amount of $79,800 to be funded by fiscal year 2026 unfilled vacancies and fiscal year 2027 budget. Director? Master Manager?
So the finance director and myself, I know that the Budget and Finance Review Board was concerned about a budget for doing this year. This is the year that this is due. And as I've identified there, we do have some savings in positions that weren't filled. And actually, we have the money, and I just looked it up today. We had budgeted more money than our audit cost us in the range of almost another $40,000. So in reality, we have the money right now without having to add it to next year's budget. But anyways, myself and our finance director had worked, this is the same company that did our audit, and they also offer this service to do a comprehensive audit. And this particular one is for all town departments except for the school department. And you can see the price came out at just under $80,000, I believe, and that the last one we did was more expensive than that when we did 2 departments. But anyways, we clarified, and I checked with some with the chairman, and I think I asked Councilman Winfield as well. The intent of the performance review or a performance assessment. It was to look at all of our departments and how they work together and what efficiencies and inefficiencies. So that was the intent of it. And it was also brought up with the Charter Review Commission as well, about updating that in a charter. So anyways, Caitlin and I worked with these folks. They came up with this proposal with the quote in here and everything they're gonna do. I know Caitlin brought it up at a Budget and Finance Review Board meeting. I believe it got voted on in December to recommend it to the town council. I did a little work in getting the price down. We were originally at 86,000, we're at 79,800. And we are presenting it to you to get this performance. Every 5 years, as you know, by charter, we're required to do a performance assessment. So that's what this is for.
Thank you. Any questions from the council?
Yeah, so when this first came up, it was in 2021. I was on the Budget and Financial Review Board, and the cost of doing a townwide audit was astronomical. And so it was decided at that time that the board would look at doing specific departments. And for that reason, we began by doing the Department of Public Works and Parks and Recreation. And out of that audit came a recommendation to merge those two departments in order to improve efficiency and save some money. After that, the board met with the town council, and the town council in, I believe it was around 2023, it was the last town council, which I was on, decided that the next department to be audited should be the school department. Because as was indicated in our workshop with the school committee, there are many savings to be held by perhaps combining some of the things that were separately. And so that was the priority, and that was what was supposed to be done. Now, this proposal, I don't see what the reasoning is for it. It's like, it looks to me like we're redoing parks and public works, and we're excluding the school department, which was the very department that we wanted to focus on. So I'd like to know what the budget board reasoning is for proceeding in this manner. This is a reversal of course. Also, I noticed in the memo from the chair that it said that after this initial assessment of town departments, they should be divided equally across a 5-year cycle for more in-depth reviews. So my question would be, is this not going to be an in-depth review? I mean, it's a lot of money. It's $80,000. So I think that this should be looked at again and discussed again, and also with an eye toward either going back to doing separate departments to save money, but certainly never to exclude the school department, because I think that's where many of our efficiencies and savings could be obtained.
Mike, can I ask a question to the town manager? If we exclude the ones that we did before and add the school department to that,
It's gonna cost a lot of money. School department's gonna be expensive because of how big the budget is. There's no reason to exclude anybody because we missed the boat on the first time around. And quite frankly, I don't think the committee had the right to change the intent of the charter. The intent of the charter was to review all the town departments to see how they're all working together so we can make them more efficient. And, you know, that's what we need to do right now. By the time you go through all the departments, people be retired 2 times over. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. We didn't look at the big picture and see how we're operating and how we can make things better. Now, I agree, the school department needs to be looked at as well. But we got to get our house in order first, and we're not. Now, I'm telling you that from managing what I'm looking at. So this is a reasonable price. It's a lot less expensive than I've seen in a couple other communities. Coventry, for example, paid $90,000.
Is there school in there?
No, school was not included in that. The schools do come up, they do cost more money. There's no doubt about it because, they're usually 40–50% of the overall budget of a community. But this is really needed. I mean, I'm trying to save money and get things working better, and this is the type of stuff that needs to be done. And it's just a waste of money and time just looking at a couple of departments. Because we're not looking at how everything works together on the municipal side of government. And I agree, the school department needs to be looked at as well, but I think this is reasonable. And quite frankly, everybody on the Finance Review Board in December voted in favor of this. And not for nothing, but nobody on the Budget Finance Review Board even touched this. I did it with a finance director because all I heard was the hemming and hawing. It wasn't budgeted for. And I got it done and they approved it. And they, quite frankly, from what Caitlin told me, everybody was kind of impressed with the type of work they're going to do that was outlined in the proposal. So I think this is a good thing for the town. I think it's very well needed.
Anyone else?
Mr. President, if I may, I agree that we need an audit, and I agree with what you're saying, that we should do all the departments at once, because the point is to see how they all work as one. I would like to know how much the school department to add would be, because I'm wondering if they do this, say we do this now for the 76, whatever. And then, because like, what if DPW can work really well with something that's happening in the school? Or what if we have a department in the town side that can consolidate with the school? And I fear that we're missing those opportunities if we don't do them as one. If this CLA company, like, what if we don't use CLA for the time that we want to do the school? Then they won't be able to access that data. So that's my only concern.
And actually, we can add it to it, and that's fine. We can have this updated to include the school department, and we can bring it back.
I think that would be good.
That's not.
From an efficiency standpoint, like, let's just do it all.
So I had a
And
couple.
my only other question, sorry,
No, go
Councilwoman, if I
No,
just,
no.
this technology fee, this 5% technology fee, I understand it's nominal in the grand scheme of things, but is this because we're paying in a certain way, like with a credit card or something, or that's just something they assess for?
That's in their contract.
Okay, I just wasn't sure if that was avoidable by,
Honestly, I can ask the question, but.
no, if we can avoid it, I
It
was
wouldn't-
just,
we-
okay, that's fine. You know how sometimes with the credit card or whatever, okay.
Now, why was, I'll go for, why was this company chosen? It was chosen off a list as opposed to going out for RFP, because the charter says we have to go out for RFP on this.
They were taken off the MPA list, and we've already done an RFP for our audit. So we've had good luck with this company. So that's why they were recommended.
And their recommendation is dated January 29th, 2026. So how did the budget board, how were they able to vote on this?
That was the
Did-
updated price was added in,
Okay.
the updated quote. It was at 86,000 or somewhere around there, and this is the updated quote.
Well,
That-
that's something I wanted to bring up. The first proposal that they were sent back in October doesn't have a price on it at all. It says XX. And and it was advised allegedly by the, well, not allegedly, I have an email here from the finance director that would be 86, although I don't know where that number came from. I don't know how they can approve something if if the contract doesn't specifically state that number. So like I
We
said, the
had-
XX.
We had an email from the person handling our account that it would be $86,000. That was passed along to the finance, Budget and Finance Review Board at their meeting that they voted on it.
So I'm just wondering, so why are we doing this now, especially when the charter review is looking at changing the specific charter provision?
We're doing it now because it's time to do it. We are scheduled to do this now.
So I guess that segues into my next question for the solicitor. I know the charter provision went into effect in 2021, and obviously we're in 5 years later, but it doesn't state when that goes into effect. So when does it go into effect? The need for a 5-year audit, does it go into effect immediately upon?
Well, upon passage of the charter amendment.
Okay, all right, well, okay. So why would, so, all right, so another question is, we already did DPW, right? So why are we doing it again? Was CLA sent this audit, first audit to CLA? Who did we have first? Who did that? Oh, Barry Dunn. Did Barry Dunn send the DPW audit to CLA? Do we know?
No,
Oh, no is the answer, or you don't know?
well, they would have no reason to send it to CLA.
Well,
You're
so they
saying,
have like a baseline kind of
oh,
thing?
I'm sure they're gonna ask for anything that's been done. I'm sure that's not a problem. But I don't think they actually did it because there was no, and Gene might be able to answer, there was no reason for them to send it to CLA.
I think. Okay, so they didn't ask for it yet. Okay. So I guess one of the only other things is that I'm sorry, there's a lot of talk this evening. So if you touched upon this already. So this audit's gonna cost us 79, let's just say 80,000. The DPW one costs 70,000. So obviously the scope of doing this entire town is not gonna be as comprehensive as the DPW one. So is that what we want? And was that discussed by the budget board? It's unfortunate that Ian's not here because I had some questions for him, but.
So why don't we do this? Obviously, we'll get the town manager to ask what the price is on the school.
Mm.
The next meeting, we invite Ian to come here and explain. Is that good? We'll put it on the next agenda.
And I'm not the solicitor, I'm asking, so wouldn't they have to reapprove it if we're going to approve the school committee when that wasn't the original recommendation? Because it's different. It'll go back to the budget
Yeah.
board.
Right.
So if well, it has to do, they have to do that then.
So we'll have Ian come the next meeting and Tom, did you want to say something? Again?
Good evening, Tom Hodgkins, 200 Farnham Pike. I want to start off with this. This firm that's been proposed, there's an audit workshop a couple weeks ago. I asked some questions. The auditor from this firm refused to answer those questions and said that he didn't report to the citizens of Smithfield.
That's correct.
If there's any vendor or any contractor or anyone else who wants to get paid with the taxpayers' money on the one hand, and then they want to turn around and say that they don't report to the taxpayer, I think that they should be immediately eliminated from doing any work.
Right,
in this
first
town
of all,
and
let's-
not, excuse me, and not get another cent to the
Work
taxpayer.
session does not allow public comment. You sure we're supposed to be talking anyways.
I'm not
That's-
supposed to be talking?
No, not in a work session. You don't have to have public comment.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I was talking on an
in the
agenda
charter.
item, but.
It's in the
So
charter.
let me be clear. If you could let me speak. That's what the auditor said. And if this firm or anyone else wants to take a position that they're not responsible to the people of Smithfield and the citizens, they shouldn't be doing work in this town.
That was not the intent of what he was saying. He reports to the town council. And he works for somebody he has a boss. That was not the intent of that. And we had a good discussion with him the next day. And he apologized that he had to do that, but he has a boss. And he's got a job. And that's why it went down like it was. And furthermore, there's not, as I just said, work sessions are for the council and the designees and the person presenting. And it's right in the charter.
So when I asked questions last week about the terms of that engagement, the terms of potentially this engagement that's before the council, I asked questions about the scope of the audit, and I specifically asked questions about what was requested and what was received. Those questions were consistent with state law on the audit, specifically Rhode Island General Laws 4510-9, which provides that the auditor shall have access to all of the municipality's books of account, tax, warrants, et cetera. I asked the auditor if he had requested those specifically with respect to the school department, and he refused to answer my questions. Rhode Island General Laws 4510 also provides that anyone in the town who's asked of those records of account by the auditor shall produce them. And it provides a penalty if they're not produced in response. I asked the auditor, did you ask the school department for those certain things, and what was the response? The auditor refused to answer my questions based on a proposed or purported confidentiality agreement with the town. The town, the council approved that RFP in July of 2024 with this firm. They were presented with a contract and certain specifications. There was no confidentiality provision in what was approved by the town. Last week, for the first time, there was produced a master services agreement with this firm dated July 11th, 2024, after the council approved the RFP. So this side agreement executed by the town, never presented to the council, never approved by the council, that had additional terms for fees, limitations and waiving certain remedies of the town, and also included a confidentiality provision. That was never presented to the council.
Is that signed?
Yes, it is, by the former town manager and the finance director. So I want to be clear. I have more questions about this, and this was signed by a former town manager. But this is what you need to get to the bottom to, because there are issues with the way things are going in this town. So it included a confidentiality provision.
Tom, I don't think that comment was.
No, that's
necessary.
not appropriate at all.
I don't think that was necessary.
All the good things that go on in this town, and it's always negative, negative, negative.
So this confidentiality provision that the auditor relied upon to refuse answering my questions, notably, the confidentiality agreement, even if it applied, had exceptions for information that's published or released, information that becomes publicly known, information disclosed by law. I asked him questions about an audit report that was at a public hearing, and they refused to answer what the scope of that
It
review
wasn't,
was.
it wasn't a public hearing.
Let me address,
Go
let me
ahead.
address that. It was a workshop. We had public comment on the agenda.
Which
We
was,
try to allow people, if we have time, the way the workshops have been run is we've tried to allow people the ability to speak.
but it's in the charter.
Well, the auditor didn't show up for the council meeting that was held right after that, so you couldn't ask him questions then. So, but then what the auditor did do was answer questions from the Budget and Financial Review Board, which would have violated his own confidentiality agreement. And it says the only way you can change this master services agreement is by, in writing by both parties. The council never did that, or at least never did that in a public session. So how does this master service agreement get executed by the town when it was never authorized by the council?
Well, I don't believe, was any of us on the council then? No, I don't
Well,
believe
it was
so.
2024, so I think there are a couple of you on there. But it doesn't have to do with the council. It has to do with the town. I don't.
The town manager did it.
Right. So,
Right.
and I take you at your word that I don't know that anyone at the council was even aware that this document existed before a week ago. So then, and what I'm going to get to is why, and what are we going to do about it? Because look, confidentiality agreements, you enter into one of those for one reason, because you have something to hide. Nobody
So,
enters
come on
in-
now.
no, that's the one reason you enter into those. No one enters into a confidentiality agreement because everything's on the level. You don't do that. You don't need it if that's the case. So why is there a confidentiality agreement in this master services agreement? That's what I want to find out. You
Well,
know,
you need to call
the
the
Auditor
process.
General for the state of Rhode Island puts out guidelines for audit bids and specifications for municipalities. You know what's not in these guidelines for the RFP for auditors from the Auditor General? Confidentiality provision doesn't, nowhere in here. So why is Smithfield in that? So,
Well, I would think a confidentiality agreement would be to protect the town from the auditor going out and talking about and disseminating information about the town. But when the town is actually requesting that the auditor provide information to a resident who's asking a question and won't answer the question, I think that goes well beyond any confidentiality agreement. I think their interpretation of that
Well, I
doesn't
agree.
make any sense. Also, we allow, our ordinance allows for public comment at all our meetings. This was a publicly noticed meeting. The public has a right to come and participate, and public comment was on our agenda, and I think that's appropriate. But, you know, I think in the future, we need to make clear that they may have to answer, you know, questions. If we give them permission to answer a question, then, you know, it should be made clear in that agreement that they're required to answer that question, because we're a public body, we're not a private entity.
Well, I think the council should note, you know, the irony here is that this audit firm was relied upon by the town and paid a lot of money to review internal controls and compliance. And then they have an agreement here that wasn't authorized by the council. And nobody in the town that has authority to sign contracts that aren't authorized by the council. That aren't authorized by the council?
And you notice that when a council authorizes, they give the town manager permission to sign a contract with such and such and such, and they get permission to do it. So that's standard practice. That's been around for a long, long
This was
time.
never approved by the council.
The issuance of what was to take place was agreed upon. And that's the document that had to be signed for the agreement.
This was never presented.
Well, I would respectively ask, tell us how to run the town so we can fix these problems, because you always come up with issues, but you never come up with any solutions.
I'd say do things the right way.
We do
Bring
things the
to
right way.
council and have them vote on them. That's how to handle things. So what I would suggest to the council is this, with regards to how this is being handled. The first is, this statement of work says that it applies to all engagements of Clifton Larson. So it would apply to this performance audit. And it's unclear to me, it's not referenced in the recent proposal that this firm gave to the town. And it's unclear to me whether this document was ever provided to the Budget and Financial Review Board to determine whether these terms should apply to that. So I think we should know that, because if we're going to get a performance audit and pay $80,000 for it, then this firm's going to say, we're not going to answer any questions from any of the taxpayers. Seems to have some limited use. But the larger issue is, again, it predates the current administration, but how did things like this get executed that aren't approved by the council? I'm asking you for the second week in a row here to put, or a second meeting in a row, to put on an agenda item how contracts are executed in the town, what the policies are for those, how that happened, and what specifically happened with this. Because the issue is, we can't correct it, or the town can't correct it if we don't know how this happened. So I'd ask the council to put that on an agenda item and figure out what happened here, and then figure out how to prevent it in the future.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else?
And that's a tough act to follow, so I'm gonna try to follow it.
No, it's not really.
I'm just trying to make some levity, John. I wasn't gonna come up until one comment got made on the stage. And I always give, you know, I make mistakes. I'm looking through my phones. I'm gonna try very hard, and I hope every single person on this, I'm not gonna try to throw anybody under the bus. I'm gonna throw issues in front of them. Here's the first one. We are doing the same two departments. Oh, by the way, no, let me do the most important thing. 100% wrong that we made the decision to change the scope, the outlier. Counselor, remember that conversation? I said, and I quote, I said, it's going to be hard and it's going to be expensive to take on the whole town. Depending on the scope, depending on how deep you go into the scope of a performance audit. And what did we talk about? We talked about, can we break it up into 3? That's what was decided. It was not decided by that board.
What wasn't decided?
to break it up into 3 different parcels of the town. The original proposal, until you guys changed it a couple of years ago, was we're gonna do Parks and Rec, DPW in the first, the school department in the second, and the third one was gonna be police and fire. And then at our workshop right down here a couple of years ago, you switched the school department to the middle. Then I had a conversation, counselor knows about this. Can we force the school department to play the role? What did I say? I'm going to out it today. I said, I don't think you should do this in a public meeting. There's plenty of public data about education, but a performance audit is based on metrics of how people work, transactions, and data. That's what a performance audit is. It is more quantitative than qualitative. And they got lots of data that's not in the DO, the ride, enrollment and all those other things. You need to drill down. The conversation was, we're not sure whether the school department can be required to do this. I'm not a lawyer. Okay, but I didn't want to scope it out without maybe people off stage, go talk to them and say, do you want to play? Do you want to do this? Because if they don't want to do it, do you guys want another one of those issues on your hands? I don't think so. So decide on that up front. So that's the first thing. Second thing is, we didn't decide the scope. The council knew the scope. That's clear.
You're saying the board,
When we decided the
discuss
first
the
one,
scope?
only those two.
the first one meaning what?
The
Oh,
first
back in
performance
the
audit.
day. Thank
The
you.
first performance audit, because I gotta be honest, this was done by the Charter Review Committee. They never asked anybody to come in and talk about this. I came from a different point of view. But if they had taken people who really understood performance audits, I've done them. They should have gotten that. Now, woulda, coulda, shoulda, I don't wanna, do that. But we were grappling, and I remember being in Randy's office, because I took the lead on this. The prices that were coming in were way into the 6 figures. And so what ended up happening was a lot of firms didn't want to do it because of the CPA issues, because they didn't want to do it, under the CPA logo. But here's the other one. And this was done in a public meeting. And again, I'm not throwing anybody on the table. Our first performance audit. 14 initiatives were placed in that audit 2 years ago, approximately, when it was presented. Ask the council rhetorically, how many have been implemented? It's in a document. I've done the data. And I've been talking about this since that report came out. We should have had meetings, again, before your time, chief. And I was on the previous one saying, you should be meeting with your department chairs, the 2 of them, quarterly basis, find out what's going on. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what goes on in the real world. When you do an audit or you do a performance audit like this, there's got to be follow-up. I don't care who's to blame in this. I'm not blaming. Do you notice I'm not blaming anyone? 14. Only 1 has been done. Now it's on the record. And we're going to do another performance audit. I said to the commission, if it is not going to be in the new charter to say the council has to get a semi-annual report, take it out of the charter. It's a waste of money. It's a waste of money. And if you want my honest opinion, even though I think performance audits are important, and I don't disagree with you, but if you're not going to do anything about it, 1 out of 14, 2.5 years later, it's a shame. It's a shame. And the last thing I want to say is, and again, I'm not going to throw anybody on the bus. I can't tell you how tough, that was one of the toughest projects I've done in 45 years. You know why? Company didn't have any data. I'm not going to throw people and departments and sub-departments. They couldn't do a lot of it because there was no detailed data. It would be like going to our finance director and say, tell me how many transactions you do a year. She said, I don't know. They're on pieces of paper. I understand, chief. It was tough. It constrained what we could do. That study, if I remember correctly, was about 70 grand. So I'm going to ask, I've been a consultant. I've developed proposals like before you. How the heck can they do, not the school department, but the whole town minus the school department, for about the same price as was done 4 years ago? I looked at my email. I've never seen the proposal. There was no PDF on any emails that I've been given. Yes, the meeting said that we approved it. But I would like to see that scope. We didn't negotiate it,
Of this new one you're saying,
the
Ken?
new one. Now, and I'm going to say honestly, we all have a lot of things. We're all juggling a lot of stuff, but I looked up both Ian's email and also finance director. And again, I'm not throwing, I thought this was going to go a little further. I want to look at the scope. I've done consulting. I want to see the scope so we know what we're going into. I don't want the same thing to happen again. I hope you all appreciate that. This is important money and it's not in the budget. Chief, you're right. It wasn't in the budget because I kept asking about that. Is it in the budget? Now, that doesn't mean we do it or not. I don't think personally there's any town citizen that's waiting to sue us. Maybe counselor, you can tell, you see where I'm going with this? Let's do it right. That's all I'm asking. That's all I'm asking. I personally do not believe, I think this should have been a competitive situation. Here's why. I worked for one of the third largest accounting firm in the world. When you got hired to do another thing from your auditors, you never hired the auditors. That is not a good way of doing it. I'm just going to tell you up front. Okay, it has nothing to do with, I'm not pleased with what happened a couple of weeks ago, but it's not a good thing, in my opinion. Markham is a good company. So is Barry Dunn. So is CLA. And I'm sure there's a couple of other firms out there, but it's dangerous to apply to get the same, when you have a problem, sorry, for the legal profession, what do? To see if Anthony made the right decision, you don't hire somebody from his firm, hire somebody from an independent firm.
Well, we're thinking of getting rid of them now.
Well,
Go on
he's
vacation.
he's Italian, so give him at least a little bit. All right. I'm trying to get this done. I gave you guys the 18-page report. Now my website's back up. Unfortunately, it was down because of security. Somebody was trying to hack it. Not sure why. I have the IP address. It did come from Smithfield, so I'm not sure what happened. Okay. It was down for about 2 weeks before I figured it out. I'm going to be putting the report public. I'm going to be putting that report public. I have an executive summary that I'm more than glad to give you. So if you don't want to read the dissertation, I'm more than glad to send it to you. I did present it to the budget board and it got an interesting conversation, especially in 4 areas where the town is not doing well financially. And we've got to turn that around. We've got to turn that around. So,
Dr.
so
Ask you something?
go ahead.
Sorry,
It's
Councilman.
the first time I've been called that. That's okay.
Are you not? Can you just really briefly, can you just tell us the difference between a comprehensive audit and a performance assessment?
Well, because a
Is it-
comprehensive audit
Mhm.
has to be done by ASCPA guidelines in terms of audits, materiality, all that stuff.
Mhm.
That's what it has to be done. It's under, and the other thing is GFOA, which is the Government Finances Office.
Yeah.
A performance audit has no legality to it, except that you do the right thing and get the right data. All right. CPAs generally tend to do it because they have that moniker of independence and they know numbers.
So I'm asking because the charter specifically says
I know.
comprehensive audit. It does not say performance
Performance audit. I know.
assessment. So we do not technically have to do this.
Ladies and gentlemen, we brought this all up because we were in a quagmire. I hope you
I-
appreciate that. Bob, you said, Chief, you said, we were dumped with this 4 years ago, okay? And we had to make lemonade out of lemons, but again, no one's suing us. I hope not. We just tried to do the best. I can't tell you how much time I put on that audit.
Can I just say one more thing? There's a different, this is an assessment. This is not a performance audit. This is a performance assessment. There's a difference, right?
There is a difference because an
Okay.
audit, and that's why CPA firms, you want my honest opinion? I was at Randy's office. I'll never forget this. We only got 2 bidders. You know why we only got 2 bidders? They saw the word audit.
Right.
And they didn't like that because then you got to bring the yellow book into it and all of this other ASCPA stuff. I hope that gets changed and I hope we start recommending that because that that makes them fearful of their license.
Sorry, last thing and then let the councilman. But this proposal says to provide professional performance audit assessment services.
It's very
So is
broad.
it both?
It's very broad.
What
And
it-
and again, I didn't see the scope of it, so that concerns me.
Okay,
But I'm going to say it one more time before I step down. If we only did one of the 14, we wasted a lot of money. I'll say that on the record.
thank you for answering
Wasted
my
a lot of money.
questions.
I
Well,
think
you
the
said-
way you didn't see the scope is
Yeah.
because she copied it. I don't think you were at the meeting. She brought them copies.
Well, I missed the November
Yeah,
meeting.
that was probably.
But I wish it had got sent out. At least I would.
Well, but she did bring paper copies.
Okay. I mean, that's all I'm asking for was the email, but
You referred to the data, that if we
Data.
don't have data, it doesn't make sense to
doesn't
do
make
this.
sense.
So what would you recommend
I
we
would
do
recommend-
before, just to solve that problem?
That's the best question I've heard all day, including my
I'm
work.
offended.
In your performance, in that contract, it should say what is going to be the output to the contract. And if you have to have output, you have to have input. So you need data. And again, I'm not throwing anybody, we didn't have a lot of data with the last audit. We didn't. It's hard to do quantitative measures, which is what this is all about, to see, do you have the right number of people? Are we overloaded in terms of the number of transactions that are going on in the town clerks? That's what we need. That's what's important about this. I've done these studies before. I think we gotta have our house in order before we do it. Let's not have a repeat of the 1 out of 14. That is nothing to be proud of. That is nothing to be proud of. We wasted a lot of money to get one recommendation done. Because I noticed nobody's challenging me on that because you can't. It's 1 out of 14. Okay, well, he's falling asleep.
Thank you. So I guess what I'd like to do, if that's okay with everybody, is get a price, including the schools, for the next meeting.
I would recommend we do that and you send it back to the BFR.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I'll make a motion to send this as well as the price for the school department to the BFRB.
I have a second.
Second.
Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Nays, ayes have it. Consider to act upon approving tax abatements in the amount of $2,282.66. Now entertain a motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all's in favor? Aye.
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 Nays, ayes have it. Public comment.
Can I just, it went so fast, just on the last item. Were you referring to by getting a price that will go out for RFP or we're just going to get a price from CLA? I just want to,
Go back to.
CLA? I just wanted clarification on what you meant by
Was gonna
that.
have CLA do a group.
Okay, I didn't hear
pricing.
that part. Okay.
I
just-
didn't make that, that wasn't, I didn't say it.
Yeah, no worries. Just wanted
But that's
clarification
my
on that.
intention of the motion.
Thank you.
I didn't even say it, so.
Well, I mean, after getting the price, the budget board can always decide whether they should go out to RFP instead.
At least we can get a baseline from them.
Public comment.
Hi, Frank Ritchie, 14 Carrion Drive. I am the president of the Smithfield Republican Town Committee, and we would like to find out information about the East Smithfield Neighborhood Center, about renting that facility. It's a very beautiful place. We like it very much. And so we're trying to find out what the rates are to rent that area. Can someone help me with that?
I talked to Bob about that today. We're gonna put some numbers together, get it back for the council for their approval.
Okay,
I did get your email, Frank.
thank you.
Forget about you.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else? Hearing none, motion to adjourn. Second. Any more discussion? Hearing none? Aye.
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 Ayes have it.